In this video, we're going to be talking you through the setup for the master section in Studio 2. So the first section we're going to talk about is the solo section. So this controls how the solo behaves on the console. First thing is the solo level. You need to make sure that it's at 12 o'clock. There's a little indent at 12 o'clock so that you kind of know where it should sit. The solo level controls the volume of a solo channel. So just be aware that if you have a channel pulled back and you solo it, the level can jump. The AFL/PFL button needs to be pressed in for PFL, which stands for pre-fader listen. This means that on the solo channel, the fader has no effect on the solo level. This is especially important when gaining in a microphone, as you will only be hearing the effect of the gain pot and the solo level, and the faders have no effect on that level. Make sure that the solo in front pot is turned around to solo. This ensures that when you solo a channel, you hear that channel in isolation and not as part of the mix. Check that solo in place, SIP, is not selected. This changes how the solos work. With solo in place on, when you solo a channel, it cuts all other channels. This can include the channels that are routed to Pro Tools, and so by doing this, you can cut those channels during the recording process, which means the signal isn't going to Pro Tools. In the main monitor section, we have a level control. This controls the overall level of the mix that is going to the main monitors, which in Studio 2 are the Dyne Audios. This level control is very sensitive, so starting around the first dot, around 8 o'clock, is advised. This ensures that when you are starting your mix or getting level going to the speakers, that you don't overdo it right away and damage the speakers. In the main monitor section, we also have a cut switch. This cuts any signal that is going to the main monitors. It's important to note that this only cuts what's going to the main monitors. Anything that is routed to Pro Tools or routed to the headphones can still be heard. The dim switch in the main monitor section turns down the main monitors by a fixed amount, 15 dB. This means you can turn down your main monitors without having to touch the pot, which means you can always go back to the level you had it set at. The mono switch allows you to listen to your mix in mono. It's always good to check your mix in mono to make sure that it will translate to things like radio, Bluetooth speakers, etc. There is also a cut left and cut right switch on the desk. This allows you to cut just the left speaker or the right speaker. This is handy when trying to isolate some issues like noise or weird things that you're hearing in the mix without having to cut channels. In the control room section, we have a source select and speaker select. The source select allows us to control what is being routed to the monitors. Pressing the mix button, which is on the far left, means that any channel that has the mix button pressed gets routed to the main monitors. We also have a tape input, which allows us to listen to an iPhone, laptop, etc. through the speakers. The speaker select button allows us to choose which speakers our audio is getting routed to. In Studio 2 we have two sets, the main set, which are the Dyne Audios, which include a sub, and the alt ones, which are the Neumanns. These don't go through the sub. It's a good idea to check your mix on multiple sets of speakers just to see how they'll translate. It's important to note that each set of speakers has their own individual level control. So before using them, just make sure that the level is set to match the level of the main monitors, so that you're not getting fooled by the speaker being louder and therefore thinking it's better. In the studio section of the master section, we don't use the speaker section on the left here or fallback B on the right. We only need to worry about fallback A, which controls our headphones. The level control controls how much of the signal is getting sent to the headphones. We need to set that to around 12 o'clock. This gives us a little bit of headroom so that if our mix is good and the balance is okay and we just need a little bit more volume, we can turn it up or turn it down, depending on what the artist wants. In Studio 2, we can only send the artist a single stereo headphone mix. It's not like in Studio 1 and Sun, where the artist has some control over elements of the mix depending on how we send them. So once the artist is in the booth in Studio 2, they don't have any more control. So in the fallback A section, we need to select aux A going to the left and aux B going to the right. This means that when we turn up aux A, it goes to the left headphone, and when we turn up aux B, it goes to the right headphone. More on this in the headphone mix video. In the auxiliary master section, we need to turn up all auxiliary masters. These control the overall level of the individual auxes. In the signal flow, the signal goes from the auxiliary on the channel, through the auxiliary master, to wherever we have it routed. So before starting a session, I will turn these all up fully, all the way up to 10. We've already talked about how we use aux A and B for headphones, but we'll use auxes 1, 2, 3, etc. for effects like reverb, delay, any outboard effects. In the communication section, we have the level control. This controls how loud our talkback microphone is in the headphones. Similar to the main monitor's level, this is very sensitive, so starting with it all the way down at 0 is advised. Underneath that level, we have the talkback section. We just need to worry about the FB button, which stands for fallback. By pressing this button, the talkback microphone is now routed to the headphones so the artist can hear us. As seen in the headphone mix video, we will test that with a pair of headphones on so that we know the artist is getting a decent level. It's not too loud, it's not too quiet. They can hear us over a headphone mix. It's important to note that the FB button is a latching button. This means you just need to press it once and it'll stay on. When the FB button is on, it dims the main monitors. This ensures that the mix that's coming through the speakers isn't also going off to the headphones too loud via the talkback microphone. The talkback microphone is a condenser microphone and it also has some compression built in. This means that no matter where you are in the room, once the FB button is pressed, the talkback microphone can hear you. So that means you don't have to lean in onto the microphone every time you want to talk. It also means that the rest of the band don't have to get up off the couch. They can talk to whoever's in the booth from anywhere in the room. We need to turn the master fader up fully to 0. This controls the output of the desk essentially, so all of our fader level goes through the master fader before reaching the main speakers.